Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, on this fine Tuesday as the guys from All American Racing League take it to the road course as we are at Road America with the Next Gen Cup Series. We had a week off last week. These guys are able to put in some extra laps and some extra practice for this road course. Now, I've yet to see these cars around Road America. I don't know what to expect from these next-gen cars. I have raced myself personally on Road America. These guys have as well in other series, such as the trucks in the Or Lawn Care series. That happens on Sunday nights. They did that a few weeks ago. However, again, not really having any experience, some live experience, I should say, here at Road America. But thankfully, All-American Racing League's own Louis Clark has put together for us a little bit of a hot lap for us. We're going to take a look at that here in a few minutes. I see my co-host, Ben Parisi, has made it in. Ben, how you doing tonight?
Good, Faded. How you doing tonight?
Hey, really good, man. Thank you for joining us here in the booth. I love having you here for the road courses. Be able to have my back out there as these cars are going to be spread out quite a bit. There's some guys that are making their way into the lobby tonight that are really good at road courses, and then there's some that aren't so great, and that's not a knock on them. It's just this field is going to be spread out all over the place here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime that we see these kind of cars on road, you never know what you're going to have. You're going to have guys that are really good at it and some guys that maybe aren't the best. So we'll see what happens. We're definitely going to have some spread out racing, but I'm sure the racing up front will be excellent.
Absolutely. Now, with that being said, we're going to pull up Louis Clark's hot lap here and give it a go. And just see the mind of somebody that does road course racing. So let's give it a shot here. It's about 2 minutes and 6 seconds long. Let's take a lap around Road America with Louis Clark.
To the other side, you want to brake into third gear. Just be careful of that rear end. It wants to come out. So third gear, hit that apex. Be careful on the exit not to get on the grass. Go down into turn 3, turn 2 is not a corner. Just brake just after the turn, the 3 meter board into second. Again, be careful on that exit curve, and then all the way down the line, sweep down into turn 5, all the way up to 5th gear, max the engine out. Be careful for turn 5, you're on a brake just at the 5 meter board on the right hand side to try and keep the car as straight as possible. Down to 2nd gear, again the rear end wants to step out as much as possible, and then up to turn 6, keep it in 2nd gear, up to turn 6, yep, 2nd gear, and then be careful on the exit. Don't get on that grass. Again, turn 7 now. 3rd gear. Keep it down into turn 8. 2nd gear. Just brake at the 3 meter board. Just be careful of the exit curb. Otherwise, that will spin you. Don't want to touch it. For the carousel, just keep it in 3rd gear all the way round. Just let the car float. That's the main thing around the carousel. You want to sort of V-shape it. So get the power for the exit down towards the kick of turn 11. So turn 11 now, 4th gear, 2 meter board, tap the brake, cloud brake it into the corner, and then full on, be careful of that grass. Going up to turn 12, Canada corner, keep it to the right hand side, and then you can brake straight as you can. Again, down to 2nd gear, be careful, back end wants to come out. On the exit, be careful because of the grass. Now 13A. Left-hander 13A, be careful on the exit because the car does want to jump out and it's a blind corner. Turn 14, 2nd gear, be careful because that front right hand does want to lock. And then on the exit, be careful with the grass, as you see I touch it all the way up to the finish for a 2:08 dead. Roughly timed around here is going to be 2:08.5.
Alrighty, that was a lap around Road America with Louis Clark. Of course, him having an A license. You saw the project dynamic there at the top right. This guy does a lot of road course racing, not just with the stock cars, but with his endurance team there. So if there's somebody that we can rely on here, Ben, it's certainly a guy who, specializes in not only road course racing, but endurance racing.
Yeah, Louis always makes it look so easy, so much easier than it actually is. He just finessed that car around the track in that video there, and he is an absolutely phenomenal oval driver and road driver. So that's definitely the guy you want to have giving you pointers around the track.
Yeah, and I'll tell you from my own experience and also studying others as we bring up the race info there for you guys there momentarily. It looks like it went away just for um, a tiny little bit. There it is. Road course racing in general. I mean, even with the GT3 cars with traction control and ABS, it's all about letting your car settle. But before making any kind of sudden movements or sudden changes to the throttles and the brakes, it's even more so with these stock cars because of the lack of ABS. They don't have any traction control. The weight on these cars, the way that they're designed, aerodynamically even, aren't really set up for road course racing. So if you want to be efficient, you want to be, consistent, it's all about letting these stock cars settle out there on the track before going through your driver control, such as your throttle. When you brake, you want to do a lot of your heavy braking in a straight line, as straight as possible, using your engine braking to help so that you can brake a little bit shorter. Some of these guys got it figured out. Some of them are still working on it. And we'll see how the show goes tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. These cars are very difficult to drive around a road course, that's for sure. They are not designed to be driven around a road course. They do not have the aero for this kind of thing. However, you can still be really quick. And Faded, I know you have a good amount of experience driving these kind of cars around Road America. What can you tell us about that?
Well, as I briefly stated, in length stated, but we'll touch back on it. It really is just about letting the car settle on the track. I mean, when you hit your braking zones, you want to be consistent with those each and every lap, making sure that you understand the idea of hitting apexes. That's one thing that a lot of strictly oval guys, and we do have a lot of them in here. As I look through the field right now, we have a lot of rookies, a lot of D class, more so than anything else. David Lorfano being a C class, and then of course Louis Clark in the A class. But a lot of these guys are going to have to understand that when you switch over to the road course racing, it's very important that you hit your apexes in and out of these turns. If you don't, you're going to be losing a lot of time. The other thing here at Road America, a big part of it is that carousel. Coming out of that left-hander, you have a long carousel, and as Louis Clark says, you almost want to V it there. You want to get into the racing line on that carousel to where when you exit that carousel, you have the ability to full throttle. And I know in the Xfinity cars and the current Cup Series, I would shift up to third or fourth gear through there, and most of the time it would be fourth, especially when your tires start getting some wear on them. Don't be afraid to shift up, even if you don't feel like you need to make sure your RPMs are low. And this is the carousel that we're talking about right here. We see already one car off there as we switch it back up here. But it's all about braking zones, all about engine braking, all about keeping your car straight during those heavy brakes and just making sure that that car is settled and you are in control of the car, not the other way around.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you were saying, it's very similar to those other vehicles in iRacing that don't have ABS or possibly have a bit of a loose rear end. Is that when you're getting on the brakes, especially when you're heavy on the brakes, you cannot be turning in at all because you will go sideways, you will spin out, or you'll lock up, and none of those things you want to happen.
Yeah, and you certainly don't want to lock up. That's why I try to stress it out as much as possible for the guys that are starting to learn road course racing with these stock cars, the importance of using downshifting or engine braking, as they call it, to be able to help those brakes. Because if you don't do that, or if you don't do it properly, Ben, you certainly are going to be a little bit heavier on the brakes than you need to, and that's when you start getting those front brakes locked up.
Exactly. You got to be really careful with your brake pressure. I know that definitely having a good set of pedals here can make a big difference because you're able to feel that point that your brakes are starting to lock up. So if you have a nice set of load cells, you might actually have a little bit of advantage here.
Well, you'll have all the advantage in the world. It's, this, when we start talking about this car track combination, this is when those two pedal sets are going to be really hard for some of these guys, whether it's Thrustmaster. Logitech, I know, has some decent pedals, at least better than those two pedal sets. But even on a set of T3 PAs, if you don't have that brake conical mod, it's going to be a struggle. And so equipment is definitely going to play a factor in the road course racing, whether it's a stock car, GT3 car, LMP, it does not matter. On the ovals, you can get away with just about anything. No force feedback, a two-pedal set. When you start transferring over into these road courses, equipment does matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you were saying with the T3 PAs, that's what I personally run, and I haven't ran this specific car around this specific track, but when I'm driving cars without ABS, it's very hard to get used to where that braking point is, that absolute point where the tires do lock up.
Now, let's go through the points here. All-American Racing League, again, we did have a week off last week, but 2 weeks ago, we had a really good race, and as we take a look at the cup points right now, Hillbilly Motorsports out front in the team points with 59. Behind them, JB Motorsports, 54. Dark Horse Racing, 52. Assault Motorsports, 51. Now behind them, Beer Brothers Racing, Triple J Racing, Faded Motorsports, and JLC Motorsports. Individual points, David Hara, who picked up his first ever All-American Racing League victory 2 weeks ago, does lead all drivers in the point standings. Behind them, Mark Snyder with 92 points. Joshua Hetrick tied with that, so there's two people tied for that second spot. Jim Ott's coming in third with 90. David Lurfano, a member of Hillbilly Motorsports, 88 points. Patrick McQuaid, Tyrone Yo, Casey Picala, John Higgins Jr., and Chad Snyder right now gatekeeping that playoff spot. Now, of course, we're only in week 4 here, so plenty of season left, but it's David Hara's season right now to run as he does come in with tonight's lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And on his early practice times, looks like he's doing okay, but it looks like David Lurfano is the fastest time in practice so far with a 2:12.1.
Now, as we said before, we saw the video, Lewis Clark being able to present that to us here tonight. He's definitely coming in here as the favorite, but some of these drivers are only a second or two off of Louis Clark, so it's certainly not going to be a walk in the park. He's going to have to make sure he's hitting all his braking zones, hitting all his apexes correctly, as well as he's worked with these guys throughout the seasons on road courses, and some guys really taking advantage of that. And as you said, David Lurfano actually on top of the leaderboard right now with the fastest time.
Yeah, and to be fair, we do have a lot of fast drivers that haven't put in a practice lap yet, so we can't say for sure that he's going to be able to hold on to that fastest practice lap spot. And obviously, we'll see what happens in qualifying. But because we do still have Louis Clark, who has not set a lap yet, and we know he's fast.
Yeah, Louis Clark, Kyle Martin, Brian Ludlow, Adam Angerstein, just to name a few drivers that have decided not to run a lap here yet. But, these guys have been putting in the work for the last 2 weeks. They might just be all practiced out. 8 minutes left here in the practice session. Cameron Harris joining us back here tonight. Now, when I looked into the Discord earlier, I think Louis Clark had a fast time of 208, 206, somewhere around there. And I know, it was very fast. I know David Lurfano was right there behind him, so it's no surprise for me to see David up there. And, of course, he runs the Fanatec V3s with load cells. And I'm not going to beat up on it too much tonight, but the guys that have the better equipment seem to be the ones that are on top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, and that could be a lot of different factors. It might just be that they've been doing it for longer, so they may have just upgraded, more over time, and that's why they're quicker. Or it could be the equipment, a little bit of both. I guess we'll have to see how it shakes out tonight.
So I watched a replay of a race that just happened a couple of days ago here in Illinois, where I hail from, and it was the ARCA series on a dirt track. And I thought to myself, man, those cars look really good on the dirt track. Ben, I'm looking at these next-gen Cup cars, and these almost naturally look really good on this road course tonight.
Yeah, they do. They look like a road car. I think more so than the previous iterations of the cars. So they definitely look at home there, even with a little bit of aerodynamic looking parts. I'm not sure how much actual active aero they provide, but they definitely are a more futuristic looking car.
Right now, what jumps out to me are some of these drivers. I know we're waiting for a few to make their laps here, but as I take a look at some of these guys like Larry Garnes in the 20, an iRacing rookie overall in general, who has certainly outperformed himself on certain races, has a really good season brewing up for him right now. He looks kind of comfortable. Now, I know he just went off track right there, so this might be the wrong time to say it, but I've been watching him even before we went live, and he looks really comfortable on this road course.
Yeah, Larry looks like he's put in a lot of practice this week. I'm watching him right now going around the track, and he's putting in quick times. He's looking really comfortable out there, looking very stable. He's not spinning out a lot, other than the time that you called him out there. Yeah, he looks like he's having a good night tonight, and I think that he may deliver more than he promised.
Now, it looks like Race Control having a bit of an issue loading this up, but I think here tonight, Ben, Race Control might not be a big of a deal. I think we're just doing local cautions here, or at least that's what I'm hoping for. As we see on the stream here, some guys still trying to figure out these braking zones. If we have full course cautions, I mean, we're going to be here until next Tuesday. So I do believe we're doing local cautions here tonight. So we might have to run a iRacing setup as far as Race Control goes, but Ben, I don't see that being an issue.
No, I don't see that being an issue either. I mean, with local cautions on road courses, normally iRacing is able to take care of everything just fine. It's only when it gets trickier on the ovals that Race Control is really needed. So I think that everything should be just fine tonight.
As we bring in last week's winner, driving that 15 car out of Hillbilly Motorsports, David Hera. David, you there?
Yeah, I got you, Faded.
Hey, so I know a lot of guys, including yourself, have been putting in a lot of work here at Road America. You guys had a truck race in your sister league or lawn care just a few weeks ago, and I think a lot of you guys motivated yourselves after that race for this next gen race here tonight to put in the practice. How you feeling so far here?
The blue-gray plastic fabrication Chevrolet is, I mean, we could turn a good lap, but that's one lap. I personally, the car is great, but I'm personally just not good at these things, man. That turning right kind of throws me a little bit, but I have put in some time, and we're just going to try to get a decent finish out of tonight.
Yeah, coming in here tonight, you picked up your first win 2 weeks ago with AARL. Coming in tonight with 96 points on top of the leaderboard. So tonight could be a big night as far as shifting points. We certainly wish you all the luck in the world. Keep it clean, keep it consistent, and at least for points' sake, try to bring home a top 8, top 10.
Yeah, thank you, Fade. Fortunately, we do have a drop week, so if this is below third place, it'll drop off on next week's points. But we'll just have to see how it works out, man. I'm hoping to get a good top 5, top 3 finish again, and take that home.
All right, David, good luck, buddy.
Thank you.
Last week's winner, David Hera, always honest, straight to the point. He's not the guy that puts himself as the favorite here. And, of course, Ben, we know from watching this league, Louis Clark's obviously the clear favorite coming in. But I wouldn't put it past. I mean, David Lurfano running 212, Cameron Harris in the 212s, Kyle Martin in the 214s. Those aren't blazing speeds. But if they can be consistent, and if Louis Clark makes a mistake or even if he runs away with it, it looks like we're going to have some competition, at least for second place on back.
Yeah, you just said the most important word, Faded: consistency. That's really what it takes on these road courses and these cars, is just being consistent. You don't always have to be the fastest person out there. Sometimes that doesn't matter, especially if you're not going for the absolute win. If you're just trying to get some points, you just want to be as consistent as possible, because you know there's going to be wrecks, you know there's going to be lapped cars. It's just how these races go. So if you're able to stay consistent, you could pull out a top 10 finish without ever setting a ridiculously fast lap.
Yeah, now as the 99 car, if Kyle Martin does spin out of that left-hander, I will say when I did race with these guys in the truck series just a few weeks ago, Kyle Martin was somebody who stuck out to me at least early on into the race. By the way, for all the viewers at home, I did win that race. But anyways, it really stuck out to me. Kyle Martin was really phenomenal in the trucks that night. And I think if there's a dark horse, and I'm not just saying this because he's rocking a faded TV paint scheme, if I got a dark horse coming in here tonight, it's that 99 car of Kyle Martin.
Yeah, absolutely. No bias there, I'm sure.
Yeah, as we take a look at his teammate, Charlie Dickey, rocking that white and orange version of there. Looks really good. The reason why I spot him out, I want to give a shout out to Louis Clark. He's doing his thing. He's got his own paint scheme design. Look him up on Facebook at LCJ Designs, I believe it is. Louis Clark, you can correct that if that's wrong, but he spends a lot of time doing paint schemes for these guys, and he's one of the top notch in the business right now.
Yeah, absolutely. He does great work on his cars, and he offers that service to other people as well. So if anybody's interested, I will double check that URL for you, and you can always check out Louis Clark for all your graphics needs. Not a sponsor.
35 seconds left. We're going to step away here in the booth, make sure that we're all tidy, got everything that we need right next to us. We'll check back in with you guys in 28 seconds. Right on the money there as the clock strikes 000. Reminder, tonight's green flag being presented to you by McConey Setup Shops. Use code FADEDTV for 15% off all product subscriptions and coaching lessons if you're interested in learning how to build your own open setups. Jeff McConey over there at McConey Setup Shops does have a coaching program. Again, use FADEDTV for 15% off.
And just a quick correction for the stream watchers here. The Facebook for Louis Clark's Designs is LJC Designs.
LJC, and then I think it's LCJ is the name of the team that he races with, and that's why I got so confused. So it's certainly not my fault. It's his fault for having two different things, but thank you very much, Ben, for clearing that up for us. Go look him up on Facebook and get a paint scheme done today. He does a lot of road course cars as well. That new GT3 Porsche coming out, the new Ferrari Evo coming out tomorrow or in a week, whenever. So if you need a new paint for any of those cars, look them up.
Absolutely. How are you feeling about the new season coming up?
Well, I'm going to try to just make it through week 13 first. There's some exciting things that I want to try this week that I didn't last time, such as the figure great race that they got going on the menu this week. But, you know, I was thinking about this today. The first season that I spent on iRacing was about 95% road course. The second season that I spent, which was this one, was about 95% oval. And I gotta find a nice middle ground there so that I make sure I'm not losing any craft on either of those classes. But I've really been looking to get back into some road racing, and I think I'm going to start with that new Evo Ferrari.
I am with you on that one. The Ferrari Evo is an incredible car in other games, so I expect it to be pretty great here in iRacing.
iRacing.com is the official simulator of NASCAR. Right there's the 15 car of David Harrod. Talked to him a little bit in that interview right before the practice session was over. He's just looking for a top 10, maybe a top 8, see if he's there at the end. Ben, the one thing about road course racing, and particularly with these stock cars, is you don't have to be fast in a lobby like this. And again, this isn't to downplay anybody's skill here, but there is going to be a lot of mistakes here tonight. There's going to be a lot of drivers taking it slow, taking it easy, trying to get a lap in. So even if you're remotely on pace, but you're consistent, you're going to get free spots here all night long.
Exactly. It goes right back to what I was saying before. Consistency can definitely get you a top 10 finish here.
And David Harris certainly looking for that as he comes in tonight in the point standings lead. We went through those at the top of the broadcast. If you missed it, we'll give you a little bit refresher of the top 5. David Hara up there with 96 points. Mark Schneider, Joshua Hetrick both tied with 92. Jim Ott, David Lurfano, and Patrick McQuaid are your top 5 in points. It'll be interesting to see that tiebreaker here tonight, as I do believe Mark Schneider has dropped from the league. So by default, Joshua Hetrick up there by himself in that second place. So some of these guys really looking to make a splash here. Some guys down there in the 60s and the 50s and even below that in the point standing. So if I'm in their position, I would have taken Road America as seriously as possible, knowing that, hey, I might be able to get a big spot here to jump up those point standings.
Absolutely. It's a great place to get a high finish in, especially if you're not the greatest oval driver or if you're a very good oval driver. But, you know, some of these guys are great oval drivers and you just can't breach that top 5 normally. You may be able to do that here, especially if you're more of a road racer on the side and you're just hopping into these cars. If you can just set consistent times, I think you can get some good points out of it tonight.
Atlanta 2 weeks ago, August 24th, won by David Hara. They were off last week on the 31st. Tonight, September 7th at Road America. Moving on to next week, September 14th. It's going to be the Charlotte All-Star Race. They're going to be doing 50 laps there. It's going to be at night, so a little bit of a shorter race for these guys, but the All-Star Race nonetheless. September 21st, we'll be heading to Darlington with these guys, 100 laps there. Before, on September 28th, another off week, before closing out the regular season starting October 5th through the 19th, Indianapolis, Dover, and Homestead, Miami, before going into the round of 12.
And as we're looking here, we're starting to see some qualifying times coming in. We see David Lurfano taking the early lead here with a 2:13.5, followed right behind by Patrick McQuaid with a 2:13.9, and rounding it out with Kyle Martin in the top 3 with a 2:14 flat.
Yeah, and these guys right here, David Hara pulling in an impressive 2:14.12, but those guys that are in the top 3 right now, Lurfano, McQuaid, and Martin, we keep talking about it, consistency. These match their times that I saw in the Discord and in that practice session. So these 3 guys certainly been working on everything we talked about, and they are bringing the consistency here tonight.
Yeah, and you were talking about the number 99 car of Kyle Martin. He actually ran his fastest lap on his first lap in qualifying, faster than any lap he ran in practice by a full 10th. So that's got to be pretty encouraging for him as he takes that third place spot so far in qualifying.
Yeah, Tyrone Yo Jr. back there. That's when it starts to fall off quite a bit. Tyrone Yo in that 5th spot, 2 minutes and 21 seconds. Behind him, Charlie Dickey, 2 minutes and 25. We're still waiting on Louis Clark, I believe, to join the server if he's going to be here tonight. Adam Angerstein, Brian Ludlow, all waiting to see if they make a qualifying lap. Some of these guys, Ben, might not be putting in a qualifying lap.
Yeah, I'd be a bit surprised if Louis did not put in a qualifying lap unless he would like the challenge of moving through everyone. He is officially connected to the server, it does look like on my side, but I don't see him running any laps right now, so I'm not sure if he's going to have time to get a qualifying lap in here tonight.
Yeah, we see Fred Houle, Brian Ludlow, both those guys still in the pits. We'll see if they do their qualifying sessions or not. I wouldn't be too surprised. Yes, like you said, Louis Clark, but for some of these other drivers, I could really see them just holding back, saying, hey, I don't want to cause a wreck. I'm a little rusty on these road courses. I'm still working on my braking zones. The last thing they want to do is try to, wreck somebody out on their first lap. So we'll see. 4 guys. 5 maybe haven't made the qualifying session here, as I do believe we are bringing that to a close here.
Yeah, we're running to the last 2 minutes of qualifying now, so if they're not out on track right now, they're not going to be able to get a qualifying lap in, it looks like. And yeah, just going back to what you were just saying, you don't want to start up front if you're not super comfortable in these cars on this track yet. It's better to start in the back because, like we know, you're going to get some free spots when people make mistakes. So it's better to start in the back, stay consistent, and just work your way through the field.
Now, a couple of sectors to be looking for. We talked about the carousel. I don't remember the name of it, Ben. Maybe you can pinpoint it out, but there's that first, I think it's turn 4, that first steep turn that these guys have to make coming down that hill. And then taking that left-hander. That's certainly a spot to be looking at tonight. The carousel, which we've already touched base upon, and then Canada Corner as well. Kind of that last sharp right-hander before making your way through a couple of snake curves and then on to that straightaway.
Yeah, it's definitely not the easiest track out there. There's definitely a few corners that can cause a lot of drivers a lot of issues. But we'll see how consistent they can be tonight.
It all starts with turn 1, though, of course, and it's easy to take when you're coming out of pit road, but between that last turn and then onto that straightaway down into turn 1, that is a very long straightaway, and it's going to be interesting to see who struggles there with that braking zone. There's a few things that you can use in the current Cup cars and the Xfinity cars and etc., but having no experience myself with these next-gen cars, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys take turn 1 after coming off that huge straightaway.
Yeah, because they're going to have so much speed coming off of that straightaway, so braking zone into turn 1 is going to be extremely important. And as we're just wrapping up qualifying here, we have about 30 seconds left. David Lorfano's going to hang on to first place, 2 minutes and 12 seconds, 0.1, followed by David Harrow with a 2:12.7, and Patrick McQuaid with a 2:13.9. The number 99 car of Kyle Martin with a 2:14 flat still, and Larry Garnes wrapping up the top 5 with a 2:16.1.
Yeah, David Harrow might have been sandbagging us a little bit in that interview, Ben, pulling in a 2:12. Not sure where he found that speed at all, but teammates David Lorfano and David Harrow going to be on that front row, as you said. Patrick McQuaid, Kyle Martin there on row 2, Larry Garnes, John Higgins, row 3. So certainly some drivers that surprised me in that qualifying session, starting right there with that number 15 car.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what David Harrow was getting at in that practice, but I know that I've never shaved 11 seconds off of my practice time in a qualifying, that's for sure.
As we go through the grid here, we talked about the top 5. Behind them, John Higgins, Joshua Hetrick, 6th and 7th, Tyrone Yo, Charlie Dickey, Louis Clark, by default, I think moving up to 10th as the guys behind him either not putting a lap down or potentially getting a 1X, which will pretty much ruin any qualifying lap that you think you're going to put down.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really tough. That could also play a big factor here, is that probably a lot of the drivers that did try to put in laps did get 1Xs on both of their laps. Because it is that kind of track, and these are those kind of cars that you just might catch a little bit of that side and get that 1X.
Yeah, we are waiting for all the drivers to get on the grid. They have 2 minutes to do so. We'll go around one time with this iRacing pace truck on the track. We'll make our way through each of these turns. We'll talk a little bit about them as we go through, as much as we can without spitting out a bunch of gibberish, and then we'll make our way through that last turn and get to green flag racing.
Absolutely. We got about 30 seconds before we get started here, and let's hope we have a good, fun, clean race.
Now, we talked a little bit about turn 1 and how important it is for these guys to get their braking zones down, but in my opinion, turn 1 also has the most important apex involved as well, because you can really lose a lot of speed, Ben, by not knowing when to start turning into turn 1, and I think more so than any other turn on this track.
Yeah, you really got to catch. Is it more of a late turn in here, Faded?
For me, it's a little bit more of an early turn in. In fact, on the outside there's 3 lines with 3 sets of cones, right? 1, 2, and 3. Then there is a shoulder on the left-hand side, and you really want to start turning in as soon as you get to that shoulder where the yellow and red stripes are that the people at home are seeing there. For whatever reason, that word is I'm losing sight of it, but you really want to start turning in at the beginning of the one that's on the left. That's your notification to start turning in and hitting that apex really strong.
Gotcha. Then you go into quite a pretty quick straight here, looks like, into the next corner. I believe that is the turn 4 that you were talking about earlier coming up.
Yeah, so this one right here, these guys, another long straightaway coming downhill. This is going to be a very, very important turn to keep our eyes on here as we see teammates already getting into it right now. Some troubles with braking zones just under the pace lap. That's unfortunate, but that's my point. These guys are coming down a long straightaway, and they're having to brake downhill, and that's going to take a lot of these cars to make sure that they're braking and using their engine braking as much as possible going into that turn.
Yeah, unfortunately, it looks like David Lurfano just had a little bit of a spin out there, so he's going to catch up back to the pack and get back in his first place position there. I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I think it was exactly what you're saying, just losing the back wheels a little bit. You know, you're on cold tires trying to get them a little bit warm, and it's just what happens.
Well, unfortunately, he was taken out by his teammate, David Hera.
Yeah, I missed that one.
No, that's all righty. Now, here we go. There we go. He's getting it.
I don't mean to laugh here, Faded, but it is a little comical on the go-around lap.
These guys just...
I'd like to believe that they're just having a little bit of fun with each other.
Spending 20 minutes going full speed. So I think they're just amped up. They're amped. The energy is high right now. And unfortunately, we're seeing that a little bit. Now, we'll see if David Lurfano catches back up to the front there. Obviously, that was not his own doing. So they are going to make way for that 8 car to get back up to the lead. Now, we see a splitter a little bit damaged there, Ben. He's going to have some early damage. Now, I don't think it's going to be detrimental to him. But nonetheless, on the road course, you want as much aerodynamic as you can get.
Yeah, especially with how long that straight is going into T1 there. There's a really good passing opportunity there. So if you don't have top speed, you are definitely going to be getting passed, especially if you're going for the lead here. The guys that are going quicker. And yeah, it looks like we're just about to get started here, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, so after that carousel, there is a tricky right-hander that leads to a straightaway. These guys just getting out of Canada Corner. One of the key points on the track, in my opinion. It looks like we might be going single file here. We'll see if they regroup to 2 on this straightaway here. It looks like Kyle Martin. David Hera taking an EOL. That stands for end of line. Because he caused that, he got sent to the back.
Yeah, it looks like they are going to add an extra lap of pacing here. So it's going to be 2 laps to green, or 1 lap after they cross the line here, just to get everything back sorted.
Yeah, now if I were these guys, I'd almost take this lap single file and then wait till that last corner to really bunch up too wide. Take it nice and slow for the guys up front on the straightaway so everybody in the back can catch up. But that's what we're doing right now, folks. We're extending the green flag drop to make sure everybody gets bunched back up. You see the pace truck coming back out onto the track as we've had some early woes here. So that's what we're doing right now. Because David Hera drops all the way down to the end of line, it looks like, and I'm not so sure if Louis Clark did make it out here to tonight's race.
Unfortunately, it does not look like Louis Clark did make it out. When I click on his name, I don't see anything, so I believe that he did not make it. He was in the lobby at one point. I'm not sure if he had some connection issues or something, but with him not running any practice or qualifying laps, that's what I was thinking, and it looks like he was not able to connect by the time the race began.
Yeah, he could quite possibly be filling in for the race control, unfortunately. I don't think Josh Grossa, who normally does the race control, was able to make it in. I can't confirm that, though, but that would have to be my guess on why Louis Clark is in the server but not out there on the track. So that's going to open the door for Kyle Martin to share that front row with David Lurfano. Everybody else going to be moving a spot up as well. So that means John Higgins Jr. going to be third, Patrick McQuaid fourth, and Tyrone Yo Jr. going to be your new fifth spot starter here, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. A big shakeup here early on before the race even begins.
So a little bit of nerves, a little bit of excitement here in the early going. Now, the one thing to really note too, Ben, for a lot of guys that are watching this stream or this broadcast that do watch primarily oval racing, talk to us a little bit. And it's not just stock cars, it's every car, except maybe the LMPs, but just how important staying off the grass is going to be here at Road America.
Yeah, I mean, in any of these kind of cars, including stock cars and especially stock cars, grass means death. I mean, you touch the grass in any capacity, you are going to fly. You are going to spin out. It's just how these cars go. It's just how most of the road cars in this game are and react to just even the slightest touch of grass, especially if you're driving cars with a lot of downforce like an F3 or something like that. So yeah, I think that they really have to be careful of the grass here tonight, because if you just clip it on a corner exit or a turn in or something like that, or go a little bit wide when you're trying to get a nice run to the apex, you probably will lose your car and you'll lose your rear end.
So David Hera to the back, as we mentioned, he did have the second fastest qualifying time, so he's definitely got the speed to be up front, but he is going to have his hands full here at Road America trying to make his way through the pack of these slower cars, because, Ben, it wasn't just like some of these guys are a couple of seconds off. Between David Lurfano up front and some of these guys that are in the back with David Hera are 10 seconds plus off pace, so he's in for a long night.
Yeah, we have a wide variety, I'll say, of paces here, because, yeah, just like you were saying, there's a 13-second gap between the top and the bottom qualifier here. So there's going to be a big range of paces. So hopefully for David Hera here, he's able to cleanly make it through the field and back up to the front, where he honestly belongs with the speed that he has in his car.
Absolutely. Now, pace truck off. We're coming up on that uphill on the straightaway. We're going to be taking the green flag here momentarily. David Lurfano and Kyle Martin going to drag a race down into turn one. Advantage, David Lurfano having that inside line here. And here we go, kicking off 35 laps at Road America. You see them hitting their braking zone right at about that fourth cone right now, Ben. Cold tires. I'm sure that might close as we go throughout the race, but right now it looks like that four cone was everybody's preference as far as their braking zone.
Yeah, these cars are definitely, I'll call it dangerous on these cold tires. They are very, very slippery, so I would recommend for all these drivers to take it as easy as they can on the first couple of laps, because we do have 35 to turn here tonight, so it's going to be about consistency. It's not going to be about the fastest lap time in the first few laps, so if they can just take it nice and easy and keep it clean, we should have some good racing.
Oh, and we see the 13 car overshooting that turn here. Now that we talked about, and he gets right back on track of somebody else. Certainly not something you want to do if you're Mason Kramer. And now he's backing up into other cars. Not too sure what's going on with that 13 car, but that's certainly not how you behave on a racetrack. So that's an unfortunate start to him and some other people that were involved with him. I think Larry Garnes might have been, but he most certainly overshot that downhill long braking zone and not only took out some cars there, but not really showing that much race etiquette there, trying to force his way back onto the track. Certainly something that if you don't know too much about road course racing, that's rule number one. If you go off course, well, you're stuck off course until everybody's passed.
Yeah, absolutely. Did not like what I just saw there. The backing up into the racing line is what he did. And unfortunately, it looks like he just wrecked again. So he's going to be heading to the pits, I believe, at the end of this lap. But yeah, he's definitely got a few things to learn about race etiquette because, you know, especially in a group of oval drivers, there's nobody that hates that more than a group of oval drivers because we all know how many times we've been taken out by cars that spin out and then decide to reverse into the racing line.
Now back to the racing that matters. David Hera already making his way back up into the top 10, so that's good to see out of that 15 car as he passes Tyrone Yo Jr. there. Next up on his plate is going to be Adam Angerstein as these guys make their way down the stretch. We'll check in. Kyle Martin onto the grass. That almost got a little dangerous there, as Ben just described to us. The one thing you don't want to do on a road course, and especially in the stock cars, is touch that grass. But he was able to maintain that. A beautiful turn one by him. Gets a little bit loose there, though, coming out of there down into turn 3.
Yeah, it looks like he touched the grass there again just a little bit with his left tire, and he felt it, that's for sure, but he was able to save the car.
Joshua Hetrick moving up into the top 5. He's up 2 spots. Cameron Harris, though, I wish I would have been able to see this. He's up 10 spots. He started P13. He's already made his way back up to 3rd place.
Yeah, I think he may have come through those wrecks early on and made his way right through the pack. He had a really impressive time in qualifying with a 2:12.7. So he's definitely quick. He did not, I'm sorry, that was his practice time. He did not qualify here. So that's probably why he's moving through the field so quickly, because he is one of the fastest drivers out here with his practice times.
Yeah, fair enough. As we take a look at some replays, looks like Fred Houle and Brian Ludlow wrapped up in some stuff coming through that downhill braking zone. This is where we're going to see a lot of cars lock up the brakes and overshoot it. That 59 car of Fred Houle, no exception, but able to save it there. He made a mistake, but he was able to save it. He doesn't go off into the gravel. He's not going into that tire barrier there. So a fine job by that 59 car to be able to save that.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do in these cars. Saving spinouts is it's definitely very difficult. It's not something I'm very good at, but it looks like he did a great job there.
We check in with Brian Ludlow doing the same thing, but again, and that was right behind Fred Houle. That might have been a little bit of chasing the rabbit a little too hard there, but again, able to maintain it. He doesn't go into the marbles. He doesn't go into the barrier. So another good job by some of these guys who are still trying to figure out their braking zones, making sure that they're not putting themselves in too much of a debt.
Yeah, I just watched Brian Ludlow again go into the grass, able to save it again. So he's still figuring out the track out there as it's being shown in his 12th place current standings.
Yeah, lap 3 out of 35. We had an extended caution, had some mishaps early on, but since we've gone green, it's been all David Lorfano right now as he was able to maintain P1. Kyle Martin dropping back a little bit. He's back in P5. He was the one drag racing David Lorfano down that first straightaway into turn 1. David Lorfano able to win that race, and since then has kept the lead. But I'm looking at Patrick McQuaid and Cameron Harris. These guys are just one mistake away from Lorfano of taking over this race.
Yeah, Patrick McQuaid's putting really good times here. He's going really quick around here. I'm just about to bring up his race times. His last lap was a 2:14.2, which compared to the race leader of David Lorfano, his best lap is a 2:15 flat. So it actually looks like that he's actually going a little bit faster than the race leader here, so he may be able to catch him up.
Yes, most of these guys now are settled in. The 9 car taking that a little bit wide, but stayed on the asphalt there. That's Adam Angerstein. David Hara behind him, still trying to work his way back up through the field. He's up 2 spots since the last time we checked on him, up into P7. Tyrone Yo Jr. behind him in the 02 car. Larry Garnes, also a member of Hillbilly Motorsports in that 20 Chevrolet. These guys now, Ben, really starting to get into a groove on this track.
Yeah, they're getting into their groove. They're starting to feel it, especially David Lorfano as you're watching him do laps here, or as I'm watching him do laps here. He looks really comfortable, very quick, really comfortable through the corners.
Now, 35 laps may not seem like a long time, but when you're going 2 minutes and 15 seconds, 2 minutes and 20 seconds, we're talking about road racing out here for an hour. It's certainly, you can look good through the first portion of the race, but all it takes is one mistake. It throws off your mentals, and it can make for a really long second half of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. This could be, this could really still be anybody's race. David Lorfano looking good so far, but like you were saying, over an hour of racing here, and it's really anybody's race.
Now, it looks like Cameron Harris might have went off track. We're going to go back and take a look at that as it costing him a lot of time and positions. Let's go back and take a look at Cameron Harris here on the back end of that 77 car. Looks like he did what he had to do to avoid hitting the 77. He came in a little bit hot there through that turn. I think that's Canada Corner there. So a mistake there by Cameron Harris, and that's what we were talking about just now, Ben. As a matter of fact, you can have a fast car, you can run consistent all night long, but all it takes is one error on that driver.
Yeah, and that was smart on his part to not take out the other car. That's what you want to see. He sacrifices his own car. He doesn't have a lot of damage, goes off the track, but he doesn't take off the car in front of him based on his own mistake, and that's what you like to see.
So that leaves Patrick McQuaid all by himself for P2, as he is about 2.5 seconds off race leader David Lurfano behind him. Kyle Martin taking advantage of that spill from Cameron Harris. He's moved up to the podium here early on in third. John Higgins up 2 spots since his qualifying time in P4, and then Cameron Harris, who we just touched on, back in P5. But you were saying he was consistently faster than David Lurfano, so that 27 car right now, Cameron Harris just needs to reset, regroup, don't try to force anything, and just know that your consistency will get you back up to the front.
Absolutely. The front of the pack is not going to be perfect throughout this whole race. We got about an hour of racing left here. So we got plenty of time for mistakes to be made and plenty of time for him to make up for that mistake that he made.
This is the Truckers Feed America series presented by Top Sail Trucking. Dan over there, talk to us a little bit before the inaugural race of this season. It's spreading awareness for truck drivers. This is All-American Racing League. And we are in the 4th week here at Road America in their Next Gen Cup Series. It's been a pleasure so far to call this group of guys. And we look forward to calling the rest of the way here every Tuesday night on Faded TV.
I apologize just for a second, Faded, having a little bit of issues with overlays here.
I myself, so you are fine. So David Hera continuing his journey to the front. Every time we check in with this 15 car, he's most certainly been making moves and continuing to gain spots as he now finds himself outside the top 5 in that 6th position. It makes me wonder if he would have not gotten that EOL if him and teammate David Lurfano would be neck and neck right now, as their qualifying times were just on top of each other.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think they would be. He's been clean so far other than that incident on the preparation lap there, so I think that he's going to continue to work his way up. Currently sitting P6, but only a half second behind John Jr., so I think he's going to be able to close that gap pretty quickly with his pace versus John, and we'll see what he can continue to do from there.
Yeah, John Higgins Jr. in the 19 car. Looked like he had a little bit more damage the last time we checked in, and that's exactly what happened there. As it looks like Cameron Harris going off track once again in his DoorDash 27. Now, that is acceptable. He has no damage from that. He got out of the grass a little bit, but a fine job out of that 27 car to be able to hold on to his car as he made his way through the grass back onto the track.
Yeah, Cameron's showing himself to be a bit of a recovery king here around this track, as he's having a little bit of issues just settling in, I think. But he's doing a really great job of making it impact his race as little as possible.
Adam Angerstein and that 9 car going off track there a little bit in one of the turns that we talked about there. The keys to the race was going to be that turn. Now, he got so deep into that he did touch the marbles and really slow to get back on track, but was able to save the front end of his car. That's what that gravel is there for, not just on iRacing, of course, but IRL. It's to protect the drivers when they go into that gravel. It really slows down the momentum of the race car.
Yeah, absolutely. It's there to protect the race car as they go into the barrier, and it does a very good job of that. So it's not really made to save your car on. It's just like running into the sand.
So back up front, lap 6 out of 35. David Lurfano's been your race leader the whole way there, and it looks like in cruise control, if I'm reading that right, he's got almost a 13-second lead over second-place driver Kyle Martin.
Yeah, David Lurfano did not come here to mess around. He is absolutely flying. He now has a 16-second lead and growing on the number 2 person here, Kyle Martin.
So Kyle up to P2, behind him Patrick McQuaid, and I'm assuming that 77 car must have made a mistake there. He was in cruise control in P2, had a pretty extinguishable lead on the 99 car of Kyle Martin, but right now as we check in with them, they have now switched positions on the track. So this is what we were talking about a little bit before this race started. Consistency is going to be so key around this track. You don't have to be the fastest. I mean, you might tonight to knock off that 8 car, David Lurfano, but to get a decent position here at Road America, all you got to do is be consistent. The driver in front of you at one point in time or another will make a mistake.
Yeah, and David Lurfano is not running perfect laps. I just watched him run a lap, and he did have a few moments where he did go into the grass and was able to save his car. So I think he as well is trying to find his proper pace and where he can just settle in. I don't think he's found that just yet, so I think that still gives plenty of a chance for Kyle Martin and Patrick McQuaid to make up that gap.
Yeah, David Lurfano's last lap, 2 minutes, 15 seconds, 0.72. Kyle Martin's last lap, 2 minutes, 14 seconds, 0.5. Patrick McQuaid in third, 2.26.85. So right now, Kyle Martin running the fastest, not lap in the race, but last lap running the fastest, as he has a tough battle trying to get up to David Lurfano with that 12-second lead.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's working as hard as he can to make that happen right now. He's running a really good race so far, and we'll see if he can keep it as consistent as he's shown. And just a little sidebar here, we do have Mason Kramer actually in the chat here, who was the car that had that little bit of an incident earlier. And he does apologize for pulling onto the track. He wants to do an interview after the race if he can, and explain what happened there. We weren't really mad at you, Mason. We were just talking about how that does happen a lot in these kind of cars and in these kind of races. So we were just talking a little bit about the racecraft behind it and how to better handle those situations.
As we check back in with some of these off tracks here, Adam Engerstein off track once again, Brian Ludlow as well in the 150, and he's got some heavy front end damage out of that Ford Mustang as he wasn't able to recover off the grass. We see Charlie Dickey coming down into the pits as well.
Ooh, yeah, it looks like we are starting to lose a few cars here. Do we know what the quick repair situation is for tonight there, Faded?
For sure one. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys had two, but we'll see. Larry Garnes taking this left-hander before the carousel. A little bit too long in the tooth there, but a fine job actually by somebody who is a rookie in iRacing to be able to maintain car control there. So good job by him. Now, we do see some cars, some repeat offenders, if you will. Some of these guys really struggling through here. We're not going to pick on them all night. We're just trying to keep up with the action. But this 9 car of Adam Engerstein with a huge off track there. His car definitely needing to be quick repaired, to say the least, as he bounced off 2 of those sections there.
Yeah, it took some pretty heavy damage there. We'll see if he can limp it back to the pits or not here.
We see Cameron Harris really falling off just a little bit as the longer this race goes. He goes a little bit wide on that left-hander as well. Now, there were some times when I ran the truck race here just a couple of weeks ago that left-hander, when your tires start, getting some wear on them, that left-hander is really easy to get wrong in a sense, to where when you have nice grip on your tires, that turn, it's easy, right? I mean, it's super easy before the carousel. But as soon as you start getting some tire wear, it creeps up on you, and we see a lot of these drivers making mistakes. Now, Cameron Harris still up 7 spots from his qualifying session in P6. Long race to go. He could creep back up into the top 5. Who knows? By the time the end of this race, he certainly has the speed to be a podium driver.
Yeah, absolutely. He just needs to be a little bit more consistent out there and continue to keep up his pace, and maybe he'll be up here with David and Kyle and Patrick all at the front here, who are actually starting to get a little bit closer together. Kyle Martin is now only 12 seconds behind David Lurfano. I say only. It is quite a significant gap. And Patrick McQuaid 4 seconds behind Kyle Martin to round out the top 3. And then there's a pretty big gap before we get to P4 here of David Hara, who's 20 seconds off Kyle Martin. So we'll see what happens here, but they're starting to get a pretty significant gap out there. If they can continue to run together, it might be hard to close the gap up to those top 3 cars.
David Lurfano, 11 seconds is the race lead. Now I'm wondering, as at first I thought maybe he was kind of taking it easy, which he still could be. Kyle Martin, though, still running some very fast laps. His last lap a 2.13. David Lurfano's a 2.15. So certainly Kyle Martin out there trying to catch as much pace as he can. We will have green flag pit stops here. Some of the drivers that have already made their way down were for repairs, but these drivers are going to have to come down for tires here eventually, and that's going to be the moment Kyle Martin has to decide if he stays out and tries to get some time on David Lurfano, or if he comes in a little bit earlier, or does he decide to pit the same time the leader does.
I'm not sure if it's showing up on your screen there, Faded, but it looks like Kyle Martin just took quite a spin into the tires. It looks like he lost it. I'm not sure if you can bring that up, but he is losing places very quickly here. Unless that was just a glitch on my end, I'm not sure.
Now he's coming through Canada Corner there. One of the races, or one of the turns that we talked about being crucial to this track. He himself also struggling to get back onto the track, a little bit panic mode, just like we saw with Mason Kramer earlier on into the race. It looked like he even stalled his car, Kyle Martin. So a lot of damage, a lot of spots, and a lot of time lost on that mistake by Kyle Martin, who was in cruise control in second place and gaining the leader.
Yeah, and Kyle got pretty lucky on that little burnout he tried to do to spin himself around there. They didn't make contact with the cars behind him because that was a bit dangerous going into the racing line there. But he is back on track now, settled in the P5. He has plenty of room around him to just drive, so hopefully he can shake those nerves and just get back into his groove here.
Yeah, and if there's one thing we've seen here tonight, Ben, Cameron Harris, I'm not picking on him. He had a pretty bad wipeout earlier that took him away from his second or third that he was in. He fell way back. He's now climbed his way back up to fourth. So if there's one thing to learn in Kyle Martin's situation is don't panic. You got a long race to go. And these drivers are going to free up some spots and free up some time. You just got to keep it on the asphalt.
Absolutely.
Now, it's important to note as well for the people that are watching at home, a lot of these drivers are rookies on the road course. And I'm not talking about almost to D class or, got a couple of races under their belt. There's a lot of 2.50 safety rating here, which means they've never ran an official road course race before. So a lot of these guys really climbing out of their comfort zones here. I tip my cap to all of these drivers here tonight for doing so. They could have took a drop week. They could have not showed up at all. So a lot of drivers that have never ran road courses in the officials before making their way into this lobby here tonight and doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, that's incredibly impressive what some of these guys are doing out here today with very little road experience, especially in these cars. It is such a totally different type of racing, and they're doing a really great job so far. A lot of these rookies out here, doing a really good job showing up and being quick around the track.
Now, David Lurfano, your leader, certainly no rookie. He's got a C-class license with a 2.57 safety rating, an I rating of over 1,000 on the road courses. So certainly no slouch when it comes to the rest of the lobby here. So it makes sense why he's up, why he's had dominant performance so far. And with Kyle Martin falling off just a few laps ago, his lead has now opened up in front of Patrick McQuaid to 17 seconds.
Yeah, he's really flying out there, and unfortunately for Patrick, he just doesn't seem to be able to make up a lot of time to catch him. David Lurfano, he's running on his own. He doesn't have anything to chase right now, but he's still putting in really consistent laps, and that's all that really matters.
Well, I was trying to get the track map up for the guys that are watching at home. Unfortunately, SDK giving me some problems there. So no track map, but I wanted to show the viewers at home just how spaced out these cars are here at this track. It's not just the race leader and the second place guys. These guys are pretty much spread out throughout the entire field right now.
Yeah, nobody really in the entire field is racing very closely. Oh, and we have another incident with the 99 cars. He goes off yet again, this time very hard into the barrier. Hopefully he'll just sit still here and let the other cars by. But that might be some fatal damage here for the number 99 car. We'll see if he can get it going again.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure it did. It sounded like when he made that impact that his engine blew out, and there goes the toe. Catching back up with some of the other crashes here. This is Adam Angerstein. Certainly not one of his best performances of the night, but he stuck through like a trooper, coming down into that downhill, trying to get back on track. Brian Ludlow in the red as well will catch back up with this incident as he makes his way down into Canada corner here. And it looks like that was just cutting it a little bit short. He was trying to avoid contact with the 59 car of Fred Houle, but unfortunately it costed him because as he hit the brakes, he slid into that grass just a little bit, Ben. His tail end slid out.
Oh, yeah, that's a shame. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Never even want to touch that grass, even to avoid another car, unless you absolutely have to. And it looks like he paid the price for that one. And we're seeing a lot of cars adopting, looks like, a new cooling strategy tonight of the hoodless racing. So we'll see how many other cars here decide to join him. But a lot of cars running without a hood, lots of front-end damage out here as we just continue to do laps here at Road America.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. Larry Garnes has gone off track quite a bit here. I don't think his car is so clean. It might be the cleanest car out there. This guy has been doing a phenomenal job of being able to save his car. I mean, he's been through the grass. He's been through the gravel. He's just been doing an awesome job being able to hold on to that race car.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Larry makes it into the top three, we get to interview him after the race. We may have to see if he's interested in any dirt road racing.
Absolutely, as we check back in with Tyrone Yo Jr. passing Cameron Harris for P6. So Tyrone making his presence known here about midway through the race here. I'm not too sure what the lap count is, but we'll get to that here momentarily as it looks like some of these guys. Now, Kyle Martin able to come down pit road. He took the tow, able to use his quick repair. Still going to be coming out of pits, I believe, in the top 10 in that ninth. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to go a lap down or not because of that. Yeah, it does look like David Lurfano was able to make the pass onto Kyle Martin. So if I'm Kyle, I'm using that quick repair, but I'm also getting my tires, I'm getting my gas, I'm making sure that I can try to take a stab at finishing this race from this point on.
Absolutely. You do not want to have to pit again at this point. So I'm sure he took his time in the pits, as he should have. And as we can see, he's still in P9, so he still has a chance to get some decent points out of this. It's a lot of time to go. He's about 19 seconds behind Joshua Hetrick right now. He can do what he does and settle in, and as long as he stays consistent, he can absolutely make up some spots.
As expected, David Hara with the speed that he had, his best lap being a 2:15 right now. It took him a little bit, but consistency, hitting his braking zones, hitting his apexes. He is now finding himself into the top three after taking that EOL. If we go back to the beginning of this race, he shared front row with teammate David Lurfano. They were coming down the turn that he just did right now and unfortunately clipped the tail end of David Lurfano. Had to take an end of the line, but here he is now back up into third.
Yeah, and he's doing a fantastic job. As you can see, he isn't running the fastest laps out there, but he is running with consistency. As we look, he is running his fastest lap right now is a 2:15 compared to David Lurfano's 2:13.4. So we're seeing about a 2-second gap between the two of them. But right now, David Hara is just doing a lesson on how to be consistent. And once he got taken out, he's worked his way back through the field excellently and cleanly to make it into third place here.
Larry Garnes, who we just talked about a few moments ago, finding himself up into that P4. So right now, all members of Hillbilly Motorsports up there in the top four right now And if anything were to happen to Patrick McQuaid, we might see an all HBS podium here with David Lurfano, David Hera, and Larry Garnes.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, really anything's possible in this race at this point. The driver I'm watching again here is Cameron Harris, sitting currently in P7. He has a fastest lap that is only 0.3 off of David Lurfano, the leader. Comparing to the other drivers that he's going against here, he's almost 7 seconds faster, going all the way up to David Hera in 3rd place. So he can make a lot of moves if he's able to stay consistent, sitting back there currently in P7, but working his way up through the field yet again.
Yeah, but unfortunately his last lap being over 3 minutes long as he still finds struggles on the track here at Road America. But if he can find that consistency, like you just said, that he did have at the beginning of this race, I mean, it looked like he was certainly going to be a podium finisher before this little bit of bad luck. He can certainly make his way through the field as he's only a second off John Higgins right now. This is the battle for 6th.
Yeah, absolutely. And he has a lot of speed in his car, especially when compared to John Higgins. He is about 4 seconds faster a lap, so I think he's going to be able to make that pass at some point, as long as he can stay consistent.
That 19 car of John Higgins looks real clean, so obviously he's had to use one of his quick repairs. As you said, a lot of these cars, no hood. Some of these cars, no bumpers. And we see out of Canada Corner there, where these drivers just came out of, that marble making its way onto that black padding that's there at the shoulder of that track. That's something to keep an eye on. I've seen multiple cars try to feed off that, which most of the time you can. But since so many people have gone through the gravel there, it's starting to wash up onto the track. They're going to have to be careful making their way on the exit of Canada Corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And what we have going on back here, we have the number 27 car making the pass on the number 19 car here. So it looks like Cameron Harris did make that pass over John Higgins Jr.
Yeah, and John getting a little bit loose there, I think, trying to overdrive his car, not to lose too much momentum from Cameron Harris, but that's exactly what ended up happening. We'll stick with this pair right here as they make their way down the straight into this downhill braking zone. But Cameron Harris on the move back up to P6. So a fine job by both those drivers. Kyle Martin back in 8th. He's been able to pass Joshua Hetrick for that position. He's still miles off the race leader, David Lurfano. But Kyle Martin with that fast repair. Hey, look, he was fast before he started getting into that bad luck. Who knows? If he can just keep it together mentally and hit all his marks with 22 laps to go, he might not be out of this race as far as a top 5 or a top 3 goes.
Yeah, he's shown that he can run consistent 214s, and if he's able to do that around the track over and over, he can absolutely have a shot at the top 5. No question about it.
A little bit further through the field, Fred Houle right now in his 59 Ford Mustang, gatekeeping that 10th spot. We got Charlie Dickey here in the 37 car. He was wrapped up and involved in some early incidents going on. I believe he had to go down pit road earlier on into the race. So he's trying to track down Fred Houle to get a top 10. I think everybody right now, Ben, would be more than happy with getting a top 10 here at Road America.
I know if I was in this race, I would be, absolutely. Yeah, and we're just watching Charles Dickey running pretty good laps here as he's trying to catch up to Fred Houle. Let's see what the gap is currently. It's like around 5 seconds, so he does have a good amount of work to do to get into that top 10, but he definitely has the speed in his car to do it.
Patrick McQuaid quietly having an impressive run himself here, making his way through Canada Corner here. He's another one of those cars with his hood off right now, the 77 Muffler Man Chevrolet. He's been up to P2. He's been he dropped through the field a little bit earlier on into the race. He got into a wreck or two, but he's been able to find his rhythm and once again get back up to that second spot.
Yeah, he looks very comfortable up there in that second spot right now. He has a ton of room around him as he is going to go into the pit lane here. to get some probably fuel and tires. What lap are we on there, Faded? I don't have it up here.
Well, we have 21 laps to go. We started with 35. The quick math would put us at about 14, 15. Well, and that makes sense. When I did the NIS races earlier in the season, it was about that 14, 15, 16 lap where you wanted to come down pit road just because of fuel. Obviously, you want to get tires as well, but these guys extending their green flag runs until they're out of fuel. So that lap 14, lap 15, definitely the indicator to start seeing some of these drivers who have yet to be down pit road start making their way down, and that's what we're seeing with Patrick McQuaid.
Yeah, he's going for a little bit of an early pit stop, which can be a really good strategy to make, especially if these guys need a little bit of time in the pits. He did get all 4 tires and fuel, it looks like, and he's just going back onto the track now.
Looks like Cameron Harris in the red here. Hopefully nothing too detrimental to him. Nice save there by the 27 car. Gets back on track safely right in front of John Higgins, so he doesn't even lose a spot there. So good job by Cameron Harris. Back with Kyle Martin, one of the guys who started P2. Looked really good throughout the early stages of this race, trying to find his groove back after he had just a tumultuous couple of laps there. Seemed like every corner Kyle was sending it just a little too hard, but he's been able to make his way back through the field onto the lead lap, I believe, and back into P6. So a good drive right now, or a good recovery by Kyle Martin.
Yeah, it looks like with that issue that Cameron Harris had, Kyle Martin was able to fly right by with John Higgins Jr. So both of those cars are now in front of him, as it looks like Cameron Harris is going to drop back to 8th here.
David Lurfano, race leader the whole way throughout, finally making his way down pit road. We'll see if his teammate David Hera, who's not too far behind him, coming up on that last right-hander before pit road, decides to come down as well.
I would think that he would here. We'll see what happens. He is going to be making that move into the pit lane here.
Larry Garnes behind him, also in 3rd place, but unfortunately having some trouble in Canada Corner. I was going to assume he would be the next to come through pit road. He was actually up to P3, making the pass on Patrick McQuaid before just full sending it there. So that's unfortunate for Larry Garnes, who up to that point has been having one of the better nights here.
Yeah, he's been doing a phenomenal job so far, and he's definitely going to have to make a pit stop here as Patrick McQuaid takes out a strong 10-second lead in front of him before he even pits.
David Lurfano off pit road, able to maintain P1 off of pit road. So Patrick McQuaid not able to close that gap maybe how he would wanted to, but still enough to pass David Hera and Larry Garnes for P2, as those guys will come out of pit road as teammates. And there goes David Hera. Larry Garnes making his way down pit road.
Now the challenge also starts for David Lurfano, as he's going to be starting to get up on lap traffic even more here. He's got some heavy traffic ahead, and he has a blinking car in front of him. Looks like Joshua Hetrick having some connection problems here. So hopefully he can make it around the track safely and not have to deal with any issues from lap cars.
Yeah, and I'm sure David Lurfano, knowing him and his personality, he is on the radio to 25, the 25 of Joshua Hetrick, letting him know, hey, man, you're skipping like a heartbeat. You might want to move on over and let me through. And that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. He moved over very nicely for him, and Dave Lurfano is going to continue his lead, and he has quite a large gap in front of him, 50 seconds until the next car of Adam Angerson.
We have 7 drivers not on the lead lap or DNF right now. So it's pretty much, unless Hetrick can get that lap back somehow, some way, looks like it's going to be a 7-man race between David Lurfano, Patrick McQuaid, David Hera, Tyrone Yo Jr. in 4th, Larry Garnes 5th, John Higgins Jr. and Kyle Martin 6th and 7th, as they all try to track down David Lurfano. Looks like Kyle Martin going off track once again. Let's take a look here. I think he missed his braking zone completely, but a fine job. Able to avoid any front end damage there. He's going to have a little bit of a side damage, but that's okay here at Road America. John Higgins Jr., though, going to take full advantage of that as he now moves in to P7.
Yeah, very nice save on his part there. He did a really nice job taking as little damage as he could have there because he could have taken some very heavy front end damage if he didn't swing out that rear end.
And already using a quick repair, certainly not anything that 99 car would like to do. Looks like Cameron Harris off track and jumping to the pits. Let's check back in with this 27 car as he was making his way around John Higgins Jr. Looked like he forgot a turn was coming up, unfortunately, there for Cameron. So
Yeah,
that's gonna take the tow back to pits. Yeah,
yeah.
coming in a little too hot there.
Yeah, that's tough for Cameron Harris because, like we were saying earlier, he really is one of the fastest drivers out here on this track when he does get a clean lap in. Unfortunately, he just has not had that luck tonight of having the consistency that he needs.
Having raced with Cameron Harris at Martinsville a few weeks ago, I can tell you he's one tough driver to beat. So unfortunate night here at Road Racing. But, you know, the guys here at All-American Racing League, from just having some small conversations with them, there's not a whole lot of expectations out of each other, if you will. When you talk to some of these guys, they'll be up front with you. They don't know what to expect during this race, which is why I feel free to maybe laugh a little bit, maybe poke some jabs, because these guys are just out here surviving. It was on the schedule. They're going to run it. Certainly makes it a little bit more fun for us up here in the booth. But, you know, these guys, as serious as they're taking this week, they know that they're going to struggle here tonight at Road America.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone in this league are fantastic oval drivers. They all know that, and they know that this is not their forte. For most of them, there are a few of them that are very good at road course racing and do it frequently. But for most of them, this is not their forte, so they know what to expect. They're coming in probably just hoping, you know, maybe I'll get a top 5, get a little bit lucky, get a little bit comfortable in the car, or maybe I'll just go out and have some fun and see what I can do. I think that's probably what a lot of these guys are thinking coming in tonight that don't have a ton of experience doing this kind of driving.
Looks like Adam Angerstein having some trouble there by pit road. I'd like to go ahead and use our iRacing rewind to see what happened with this car here.
I'm not sure what happened there. I'm not sure if he ran out of quick repairs or he thought he had one or what's going on there.
Yeah, not too sure. Tried coming out of pit road there, but saw that the damage had not been fixed. So that would be my guess on the case there. And he unfortunately just having to take the tow. So Adam Angerstein jumping to the pits there. His night all but done as he's still in the pits. He's going to sit there and take some optional repairs on that one. We'll see if he hops out of the server or if he just sticks around. John Higgins Jr. back up into the top 5. It's been a little while there for that 19 Chevrolet, but he certainly finding his groove here with 18 laps to go.
Yeah, tell me about it. John Jr. is really doing a great job of having consistent laps, 217s all night long. He's really, really being consistent and driving a good race so far.
As we just got up here with David Lerfano, I did hear some contact and somebody come up in the SDK, and it was Tyrone Yo Jr. misgauging that. So that's probably his first biggest mistake of the night. He was running really solid. One of the more surprising runs here tonight of Tyrone Yo Jr. So unfortunately, he's going to have to come down pit road and use his first fast repair.
Yeah, it looks like he just caught the grass on his front tire there, and that spun him, and unfortunately he got more damage hitting into the second wall there.
Letting the leader, David Lerfano, by, and it looks like he's actually staying out onto the track.
He is. Yes, he is. He's going to keep going here.
Alrighty then. Charlie Dickey with an off track here. We'll catch back up with this 37 car. And it's that left-hander that we've talked about. Him and Fred Houle been kind of shadowing each other here the entire race. Brian Ludlow off track. Able to save any big damage. Good job by that 150 there. Be able to keep the nose end of his car off that cement wall. That would not have been a good outcome.
No, that probably would have been a tow back to the pits. Doesn't look like he's got a lot of protection left up on the front end.
So back up front, race leader still David Lurfano. Patrick McQuaid in the 77 still trying to track him down. David Harrow, his teammate, Hera, not Hero, although he might be somebody's hero out there in the 15 Chevrolet. Back up to P3, and Kyle Martin with a nice recovery was sitting right there in that 9th and 10th spot after a few wrecks himself, has now made his way back into the top 5 starting P4.
Yeah, Kyle Martin may finally be falling into his groove here. He is one of only 5 cars now at this point that are left on the lead lap, which goes back to what Tyrone Yo was doing earlier. He may see that he was just on the verge of losing that lap to David Lurfano, so he decided to stay out. But now it does look like he did lose that lap, and he's officially a lap down as well. So only 5 cars left here on the lead lap. As the number 99 car gets a little bit loose but is able to save it, he's going to maintain his 4th place position.
Yeah, and he's got quite the lead there on John Higgins sitting back there in P5. If I'm any of these drivers that are still on the lead lap, I'm noticing that I'm one of 5 on the lead lap. I see the relative. Martin is 34 seconds behind David Hera and a whole lap ahead of Tyrone Yo. So if I'm in his shoes, I'm looking at this, Ben, worst case scenario. If I just take it easy, I'm driving out of here with the top 5.
Yeah, this is where I would definitely, to not use this phrase, but take my foot off the gas a little bit here and just make sure that I'm driving safely because, you're pretty much guaranteed that top 5 if you can be clean, like you just said. So that's what he's got to do. He's got to focus on just keeping that car clean. Don't worry as much about your lap times. You got plenty of time in front of you and behind you.
Yeah, and that's going to be a lot of points coming out of here at Road America where a lot of drivers simply are just not going to have a really good points night. Of course, David Lurfano, David Hera, who are up there in the point standings, going to walk out of here with a ton of points. But the drivers behind or outside of that top 5, you really can climb up through the points here in week 4 by just keeping a clean race car from here on out.
Yeah, and what's nice about these front drivers here with the large gaps is even even mistakes that are costing them probably about 5 seconds. The cars behind him are not catching him up. I just watched Patrick McQuaid go into the grass pretty good there. Lost probably about 5 seconds, but he still has a 12-second lead on David Hera.
Yeah, and that is your second place driver right now. You see the relative at the top of your screen. We're going to keep that with the top 7 drivers just so you always can get a view of where these top 5 drivers are between David Lurfano and John Higgins Jr. right now on view of second place. We're going to check in with David Lurfano, and as he makes his way through Canada Corner, we're actually going to go cockpit camera for a lap with race leader David Lurfano as he makes his way up towards that start-finish line. As he makes his way back through that little S-bend, we'll catch him right here before he gets into this right-hander. And here's a lap with race leader David Lurfano. I think we just saw why, Ben. He's been able to dominate this race. There was not a single mistake, at least to my eyes, around that lap. David Lurfano is just in the zone.
Absolutely. He's running very, very consistent, very, very quick. Almost every lap he's running. That lap that we just watched was a 2:15.5. He ran on lap 17, his fastest lap of the race, of a 2:13.1. So as the race leader, he is not slowing down at all, and I see why. His consistency is there. He is not losing his rear end at all. He's just driving quick and consistent laps over and over again. And that's exactly what you want to see from him.
Cameron Harris back in P13 has the best lap, a 2:12.1. David Hera, teammate to David Lurfano, currently in third, has a 2-minute and 12-second lap underneath his belt. So David Hera, which had to have been recently, most certainly on the rise here.
Yeah, he also put that in on the lap 17. He did that 2:12.6. So he's definitely pushing a lot to try to catch up to those leaders.
Unfortunately, though, right now, 14 seconds behind second-place driver Patrick McQuaid and 22 seconds off his teammate David Lurfano. Kyle Martin getting into the red here. We're going to go back and take a look, see what happened on that, as it looks like he's involved in another crash here. Just sending it a little too hard there. And there you guys see it right there. That's a perfect example. When Ben said you don't want any part of that grass, we mean just a blade of grass can send these stock cars sideways.
Yeah, all the pressure, all the turning pressures on those rear wheels. So the second you touch that grass, that rear end is absolutely gone. That one wheel that's left on the pavement is not going to do it.
14 laps to go here on what's been an absolutely fine race by a handful of these drivers. Right now, your top 5 on the lead lap. John Higgins Jr. Gatekeeping that in 5th. Kyle Martin 4th. David Hera 3rd. Patrick McQuaid P2. And your race leader. He's led every lap throughout here at Road America. David Lurfano. This is the Truckers Feed America Series, the Next Gen Cup cars. You're watching it live here on Faded TV. You can watch it here live every Tuesday as these guys make their way through their Next Gen Cup Series. I'm Brandon Robinson. Joining me in the booth, my good friend Ben Parisi. I like bringing him on these road courses. He has some road course experience, as does myself, so it's always nice to have somebody up here watching these races as these cars are so spread out on this track. It's been a pretty good show so far, Ben.
Yeah, it's been a very entertaining race so far. There's been a couple of comical moments, a couple of incredible laps that have been ran, some really good racing and maybe some not so good racing, but that's just what you get when you run road courses.
It looks like, unfortunately, I think Cameron Harris is actually not in the race right now at this moment.
Yeah, it looks like Cameron Harris did withdraw. He has manually disconnected from the server, so at this point it does look like he is out of the race.
I believe Charlie Dickey doing the same in that 37 car.
Looks like the 37 car is still on the track right now, actually.
Oh, yep, I was stuck in the scenic cam. Good pickup on that one. John Higgins Jr. in the red with the crash. We'll go check in with him in the 19 car. He's had his fair share of incidences here. And we start seeing a couple of these cars struggling at the same corner here as he overshoots it. And you can see even at a slower pace, I mean, he doesn't even have his foot on the throttle on that one, Ben, and he goes off into the grass and almost loses it.
Yeah, it looks like he locked up one of his wheels braking into that corner. I think that's what threw the back end out a little bit there, and then once he touched the grass, luckily he was able to save it and not a repeat of what we just saw.
The 99 car of Kyle Martin certainly having an up and down night. He's had to send his car to the pits with a tow and use a quick repair, but it just goes to show you that if you keep at it and you keep putting that foot down, good things can happen. Of course, he locks it up in Canada Corner right now. That's been a struggle for him, I must say. Of course, a couple of drivers as well, but that seems to be his Achilles heel, is that last hairpin there.
Yeah, he does seem to be losing a bit of time there, but just going back to what you were just saying, he's had a very up and down night as he hits the grass a little bit on the inside there going around. And he's able to keep the car on the track. But he's had a very up and down night, and that just shows you when you you know, you take that incident and you have to be towed back to the pits, you still have a shot, especially if you're as quick as Kyle Martin is.
We talked about David Hera's early struggles in the race, even before we went green. He's had a very consistent night as well. I really haven't called his name too much when it comes to off tracks and incidences.
No, David Hera's been extremely clean tonight. I'm not sure how many incidents he has, if any, to be honest with you. But unfortunately for David Hera, his gap to Patrick McQuaid is still almost 20 seconds, and it doesn't seem like he's making up any considerable amount of time here. So far, at least. We still have 12 laps to go, so plenty of time for him to work on that. But Patrick McQuaid's running very quick lap times as well, so at the very best, if Patrick doesn't make any mistakes, David can possibly make up about a second a lap, and so far, that's all he's really getting out of him.
Yeah, you see some heads-up driving there by Charlie Dickey, some sportsmanship by all these drivers that are a lap down, almost coming to a complete stop on that left-hander to make sure he doesn't spoil the race of Patrick McQuaid. So some gentlemanship being shown out here tonight on this racetrack. Always good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. You love to see that from the drivers, especially at lap traffic, and especially here, because you could have some frustrated drivers out there, and it's good to see that.
Oh, Kyle Martin going around. Oh, man, full scent. That's going to allow John Higgins Jr. to make the pass. How those guys did not touch is insane. A great job by both those drivers to avoid any contact there. Unfortunately, Kyle Martin going to get sent back to P5 as we take a look at that replay. Kyle Martin getting a little off track there. It looks like he's just full sending it. Once you start getting into that crash, you get a little bit nervous, and certainly takes effect on this turn here. But look at that, a full 360 degrees, and quite potentially, I think I did hear some contact between the front ends of those cars there, Ben.
Yeah, it may have been a little bit of light contact there, but it doesn't seem to be affecting Kyle. He's right back on it again. He's flying around the track as usual. Again, he's just got to settle back down, keep it calm, keep consistent. He's still on that lead lap, even though he does have David Lorfano 10 seconds behind him here. For now, he's still on that lead lap, and if he can just stay clean again and calm it back down, we'll really watch his braking zones, because that seems to be what he's struggling with. He should be able to keep that P5 so far.
Yeah, and even if he goes a lap down to the untouchable David Lorfano here tonight, he's still got a minute, 62 seconds in front of Tyrone Yo. So right now, he just needs to settle down, focus in, bring home that top 5. Anything more than that top 5, that's great. But at this point, anything less than the top 5 would almost feel like a loss here, given that he's up 63 seconds on Tyrone.
Absolutely. It would take a major mistake, possibly even a tow, to close that gap. And right now, he's just looking at John Jr., I think. I think he probably wants that P4. I know that I would, and it's only a 2.5 second gap between the two of them. So I think we're going to see Kyle Martin continue to race hard here, but hopefully he can keep it a little bit cleaner than he has.
David Lorfano taking the tips from the road course ringer himself, Louis Clark. We showed the video before coming to the track here tonight. Louis putting together a video for these guys, showing braking zones. David Lorfano certainly taking notes of that. These guys were talking throughout the Discord pretty heavily through the last couple of days, talking about mistakes that were being made, how to be able to get better at the track. And right now, the guy that was asking the most questions, David Lorfano, certainly taking advantage of the advice of the practice laps. 10 laps to go. He's led 25 here at Road America. He's got a 20-second lead over Patrick McQuaid, and it looks like it's going to take a miracle for Lorfano not to come out on top at Road America.
Yeah, absolutely. That 20-second lead has been there for quite a seriously long time now. Doesn't look like Patrick McQuaid's doing a lot of better pace than David Lorfano is so far. So I think he's going to be able to hold on to that, and barring any major accidents, I think that David Lorfano, he's just having a great night tonight, and hopefully he can continue to do that.
Kyle Martin catching a little bit of a break here. John Higgins Jr. sends his 19 Chevrolet down pit road. It looked like at least right side tires, but I'm assuming we just caught that a little bit late. Probably took fuel and left sides as well. With 10 laps, we'll see when these drivers, I don't know how much fuel these guys are running here at Road America, but I'm assuming that he would not have come down pit road unless if he knew he was going to have to come down one more time for fuel. So we'll see if some of these other lead lap cars come down pit road and start making a green flag pit stop for the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe with his gap that he has over the next car there, he's just thinking, I can run faster laps if I have fresher tires. I have plenty of time behind me, so why not take some fresh tires and try to make up some extra places?
Yeah, he's got about a 30-second lead on Larry Garnes even after the pit stop. But that did put John Higgins, I believe, a lap down.
Yeah, that is correct. There are only 4 drivers now at this point left on the lead lap.
Here is Larry Garnes in 6th. Behind him, Tyrone Yo Jr. This is the battle for 6th place here, as these guys are both just a lap down. So this is for position. If this 02 car can find a surge here and be able to pass Larry Garnes, a nice P6 would be a good run for either of these drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do see Larry's running some pretty quick times out here as well. His fastest lap is a 2:16. So he's doing a little bit better than everybody around him so far by 2 or even 4 seconds. So he's going to probably be making some moves towards John Jr. unless Tyrone Yo Jr. can make up some extra pace here.
Fred Houle looking to take home a top 10 here. He gets a little bit overextending on his brake zones there. It does look like Kyle Martin coming down pit road here, so he's going to be the next driver to come down under green. He's going to get 4 tires, a splash of fuel, and maybe some optional repairs there. That was a little bit of a long pit stop for Kyle Martin. We see Joshua Hetrick doing the same. He's back here in 8th place in his Orr Lawn Care 25 car.
Yeah, that did look like a little bit of a long pit stop there, so I do think he did take some optionals. And I think Joshua Hetrick may be doing the same here.
I think David Lurfano finding out he's got an extra craft that he might have not known he possessed, as he has just dominated these next-gen cars here at Road America as we took a lap around in his cockpit POV, not making any mistakes around this track. He's been really consistent here tonight. His best lap, a 2:13.17. His last lap, a 2:15.79.
Yeah, I think with David, he's just so consistent because he's not running as fast as he possibly can. He's very comfortable up there in first place with his 19-second now lead over Patrick McQuaid. In qualifying, he was running 2:12 flats, so we know he has some more pace in this car if he really wanted to push it, but he simply doesn't have to. He can ride around doing 2:15s, I think, all day, it looks like, as how comfortable he looked, especially on that cockpit lap.
Him and second place driver Patrick McQuaid sharing top speeds of 182 here at the last lap. Everybody else in the 170s and the 160s as far as top speed goes on that last lap. So him and Patrick McQuaid certainly faster than anybody else out there on the track here with 8 laps to go.
Yeah, all 3 of those top cars are really quick and really consistent so far. All of them have been able to run 2:12s if they really wanted to, and they're all just taking a little bit off and being consistent, as we only have 3 cars now left in the lead lap.
Yeah, Kyle Martin, it looks like having to come down pit road once again. Ben, he was just down here about a lap or 2 ago, if that. So I'm not too sure if he's wanting to come back down pit road and get some more optional repairs. Right now, he might be fighting engine temperature, as he does have some damage on the front end of that 99 car. He stayed into the pits. Well, now I'm not too sure, because he's back out here onto the track just like that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what that was.
Maybe a penalty down pit road.
I'm gonna say possibly he had a drive-through penalty. I was thinking, but usually, if I'm not sure why he would stop if that was the case. I'm not sure exactly what happened there.
Sometimes coming onto pit road here can be difficult. As you come off that last right-hander, you got to split off to the right, and you're going uphill. It's very easy to carry more speed than intended before crossing that line with those cones. So my guess would be maybe a speeding penalty through pit road, having to come and do a start and stop here in the pits. Black flag. Kyle Martin gets that taken care of with 8 laps to go still. He's going to get passed by John Higgins Jr., who was able to take advantage of that as Kyle now, as you said, falls down off of lead lap, and John Higgins now back up to 4th place.
Yeah, absolutely, and we got to keep an eye on Larry Garnes behind Kyle Martin with a 10-second gap, although he's not as quick so far through the race as Kyle Martin. If Kyle makes any more mistakes, Larry's going to be right there to snap up at that.
Yeah, Larry Garnes with a little bit of damage on that passenger side. Other than that, that 20 car looking really good. Again, we do not believe he has come down and used a quick repair at all during this race. So a fine drive by Larry Garnes here tonight. Also with Tyrone Yo Jr. back there in 7th. He's 7 seconds off Larry Garnes. And with all these drivers being a lap down, this will be all for position.
Yeah, I mean, if Tyrone Yo can close that gap, that would be extremely impressive because he was running about 5 seconds slower than Larry in qualifying. So if he's found that much pace in his car just getting comfortable out here, which can absolutely happen, especially on these road courses, you just start to get a feel for it, and at one moment it just finally clicks. And that may be what happened here for Tyrone Yo, as he's still holding, looks like an 8-second gap now behind Larry Garnes.
David Lurfano, 45 seconds in front of teammate David Hara as Patrick McQuaid now makes his way down pit road under green. That's going to be his last stop of the race. We're still waiting on both Hillbilly Motorsport drivers, both Davids, to make their way down pit road. But right now, it looks like David Lurfano with a 45-second lead over a second-place driver. It's all, I mean, this guy could spin out 3 or 4 times and still have the lead. It's going to take a pretty big one here for David Lurfano.
Yeah, even after he pits, he's still going to be able to hold on to that lead pretty easily and probably still have about 20 seconds on Patrick McQuaid here. So I don't think David Lurfano's got a lot of worries right now as long as he can keep it clean and keep his pace right where it's at.
A long drive to pit road, but once they're in their boxes, ladies and gentlemen, it's usually about 13 seconds to get all 4 tires and a splash of gas in your car. Now, that could be less, depending on how much fuel you need to finish the race, but nonetheless, you're sitting there right around that 13 to 14 second mark. So as Ben just pointed out, with a 46-second lead now, he can make his way down that long pit road, be able to take his pit stop. That 13 seconds ain't going to put a dent in the lead that this 8 car has.
Absolutely, and he's still running laps out here, so no need for him to pit just yet. We'll see when he decides to make that move, probably on this lap, I would assume.
Patrick McQuaid able to stay on the lead lap there. That's pretty big for him, as he's going to be able to hold down 3rd place a little bit longer. But I think David Lurfano might be right behind him. So Patrick most certainly wanting David Lurfano to pit sooner rather than later. He doesn't want to go a lap down here. It might not affect his finishing position, but a little bit of flex, a little bit of pride in the Discord maybe tomorrow, Ben, to say, hey, I was only 1 of 3 to finish on the lead lap.
Yeah, exactly. You definitely want to be on that lead lap for a point of pride. That's how I would feel about it as well. I would definitely be bragging in the Discord tomorrow if this many drivers were a lap down and you're only 1 of 3. At this point, we might even see less drivers on the lead lap, but as of this point, as he goes David Lurfano goes a little bit off track there, but he's able to save it without an issue.
A little bit of frustration by that 9 car of Adam Angerstein.
Yeah, it looks like that was the same mistake he made earlier of locking up the brakes going straight into the wall. So he, at this point, definitely will be out of quick repairs, so he may be sitting in that pit for quite a while.
Kyle Martin with a little bit of Tokyo drift there on that last right-hander going off track, able to maintain that with a little bit of oversteer control. Going back.
And he's still holding up that almost 12-second lead above Larry Garn. So Larry's not able to make up that pace difference between the two of those drivers, even with the mistakes that Kyle is making.
Well, Larry Garnes with a mistake of his own in that same turn there, and maybe a little bit worse than what Kyle Martin had just previously done, playing a role in why Larry can't close up that 12-second gap, as Ben just touched base on. Tyrone Yo Jr. off track as well. He's missing his bumper. And it looks like everybody's starting to struggle on this last turn here, and that's a pretty big hit for Tyrone. He's actually going to come down pit road. Now the race leader, David Lurfano, also down pit road.
Yeah, race leader David Lurfano is heading to his pits right now. We'll see what he takes. And we see David Hera coming up to about a 30-second gap here. We'll see what that gap is once he makes it to his pit lane.
And I wanted to show you guys, I wish I was able to catch this a little bit earlier, but you just get a sense of how long this pit road can be. And even though you have a big 30-second lead, you're always thinking about time and seconds. And that was just the end of pit road there. You have to go up the hill like I was explaining before, and he's got that last pit box there. So certainly not an easy task to do when you're the race leader, coming down pit road, making sure you're not losing any time, and also staying under that pit road speed. But a nice pit stop there for the race leader, David Lurfano, with 5 laps to go.
Oh, and here comes David Hera right on his back now. He's only a half second off. So it looks like that pit stop took a little bit more time than we anticipated.
Here comes the 15 car of David Hera trying to look onto the inside. That's going to push David Lurfano up. He's able to stay on the track, stay off the grass, and these guys are going to drag race down the longest front stretch here at Road America before making their way down into the downhill braking zone. And David Hera, your new race leader here at Road America with 5 laps to go.
Unbelievable. Can't say I saw that coming in a million years.
David Hera with once a 45-second lead over Patrick McQuaid. David Hera out of nowhere making the pass on Patrick McQuaid when he came down pit road. And now David Hera, your race leader. But unfortunately, Ben, I didn't take it into an account. This guy might still have to come down pit road.
Oh, that's very possible, actually. I think I was confusing Patrick McQuaid and David Hera there. I'm not sure if David Hera has come down pit road yet. That's actually a very good point.
He's obviously going to start calculating the math. He's looking for all the answers, probably through Crew Chief, sim racing apps, fuel calculator, seeing if he can stay out onto the track. He's probably a mile or 2 off of making it to the end of this race, but he's going to do everything he can as he now touches the O2 car of Tyrone Joe. Oh, and David Lurfano, oh my goodness, barely making his way through there.
Wow, you couldn't have fit a piece of paper between David Hera's car there. That was unbelievably close. What a job by David Hera to avoid that wreck.
David Lurfano is who I believe you're speaking on.
I'm sorry, yes, David Lurfano.
Yeah, that is fine. That was as close as it gets, and that could have been very, very bad for that 8 car, David Lurfano, as that would have taken a big chunk out of his car, and unfortunately, the excitement is over. David Hera down to the pits.
Yeah, so David Lurfano is going to go back out on the track here now with a very, very significant lead yet again, and he did enjoy a little bit of a lead lap there for 1 lap, but I don't think he's going to be able to get that back anytime soon, as David Lurfano is just able to do such consistency tonight. So I think that he's going to be able to hold on to that place for quite a long time, as he has a 15-second lead over Patrick McQuaid.
We're going to stick with this just for a moment on this replay, because I believe this is the lap that David Hera gets into the side of woo! I think they actually did make contact there on the replay. It certainly sounded like it, but nonetheless, nothing too serious there. David Lurfano still out there as your race leader. Patrick McQuaid 16 seconds off Now, David Hara coming down pit road, but he's still on lead lap. He's still going to keep that P3. As we see, the car behind David Lurfano right now is the 19 car of John Higgins. He's in P4, so David Hara is in no threat of losing his podium here tonight.
No, absolutely not. He's got plenty of time, and it would take a very, very major mistake to lose that spot.
Kyle Martin still struggling here through the latter end of this race, getting into that concrete barrier. What looked like a decent top 4, top 5 finish for sure for Kyle Martin. He's now found himself behind John Higgins Jr. and Larry Garnes back in P6.
Yeah, unfortunately, very unfortunate for Kyle, because he definitely had the pace in his car to be a top 5 finisher today. He still may be. We'll see what happens in these last 4 laps. But as of this point, he really has a lot more pace than all of the drivers around him, and unfortunately just hasn't been able to keep it clean.
Yeah, now behind race leader was John Higgins, who I mentioned. He goes off track here in Canada Corner, where a lot of drivers have been struggling here. Now, it looks like he was able to save any serious damage there.
Yeah, it looks like just a light tap into the tires there, so nothing too serious. Maybe a little bit of front end damage. His car looks pretty much fine on the front end, so I think he'll be A-okay.
With 3 laps to go, Patrick McQuaid 16 seconds behind race leader David Lurfano. Third place driver David Hara 40 seconds off David Lurfano. Everybody on back, a lap down or more. So right now, as we talked about 10-15 laps ago, this is really David Lurfano's race to lose, and it would take something most devastating for that to happen.
Yeah, Patrick McQuaid's got a lot of pace in his car. You're seeing him go between 18 and 16 seconds in the relative here, but unfortunately he's just not able to do a whole lot more than that to close the gap between the two of them. And with only 3 laps here left to go, I'm not sure that that's able to be made up. And I'm looking at David Lurfano's lap times right now, and it looks like his last lap, he's still running 2:13s. So this man is putting absolutely everything he can out of this car.
I'm most impressed right now by David Lurfano. I mean, this guy looks like he belongs on a road course here tonight. It's just been a phenomenal drive for that Lucky Dog Detailing Chevrolet.
Yeah, he's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Just consistency, consistency, consistency. That's really what matters out here. He's been able to take a little bit off his absolute fastest pace to the point where he's just comfortable. And he continues to just put in lap after lap faster than anyone else, but without really pushing himself too hard. It's really, really impressive.
Pretty big lick by Joshua Hetrick there. He had to jump to the pits as well. Kyle Martin after him, continuing to struggle here at Road America. That's through turn 1, I believe. Trying to hit that apex just a little too early is what happened on that one. And something you can't afford to do on the road course racing. Sometimes you can hit that apex a little too late, but when you do it a little bit too early, Ben, it just throws you off course coming out of the corner exit.
Yeah, it looks like he had a little bit too much speed going into it as well there, so the combination of both of those factors unfortunately sent him very hard into the wall there. But your race leader, David Lurfano, still with a 16-second lead above Patrick McQuaid. He does not look like he's going to be caught today.
Nope, 2 laps to go. David Lurfano leading the entire race. Not starting off as anybody planned. There was a couple of wrecks on the outlap. They had to extend the caution, get everybody back where they were needed, get them back to being double filed. We spent an extra lap under caution behind the pace truck. Ever since then, David Lurfano showing his dominance here in All-American Racing League. Of course, David Lurfano, no stranger to the checkered flag here. He is the reigning, defending Cup Series champion, coming off a fresh championship about 6 weeks ago, winning that Cup Series here in All-American Racing League and looking to pick up where he left off here in week 4. As we take the white flag here at Road America, we'd like to talk about our partner, McConey Setup Shops. Use code FADEDTV at checkout for all product subscriptions and coaching. For anybody out there that runs open setups, either through officials or through a league, stop by McConey Setup Shops today and use code FADEDTV. David Lurfano on the final lap.
And we should definitely take a second to say how incredible David Hera's run has been today. After he got an EOL at the beginning of the race, he made his way all the way back through up into that P3 spot and the lead lap, which not anybody but those top 3 can say.
Yeah, and when we talked to that 15 car of David Hera, he was about the least confident person I've ever spoke to about anything. Just saying that he wanted to finish a race, complete a lap, keep his bumpers clean. Well, David, you've been able to do much more than that, as you are going to finish 3rd place here and finish on the lead lap, as Ben just mentioned. Oh, David Lurfano looks like he got a little bit loose there. Luckily, he's got a 17-second lead on Patrick McQuaid, so no harm, no foul on that one as he makes his way through the carousel for the final time.
Yeah, I'm sure David Lurfano's heart just stopped there for a second, but he was able to save it without issue, and he's just going to continue to drive here. Just got to make it through these last couple of corners, and that flag is his.
One more hairpin for him as he makes his way through Canada Corner. Hard onto the brakes there, using that engine braking as he's done all race long through the S-curves here. He's going to make his way through the last right-hander. For the final time, David Lurfano going to be week 4 winner here at Road America with one of the most impressive drives that we've seen here from a driver at Faded TV. The checkered flag, the Lucky Dog Detailing, David Lurfano. Patrick McQuaid making his way up that hill. Not too far off there as he finds his way crossing the finish line in a solid P2. David Hera, as we just mentioned, the last car on the lead lap through Canada Corner there for his last time through the S-curves before making that right-hander up the hill across the checkered flag. What an impressive drive by John Higgins Jr. as well, Ben. I know he's a lap down, but he had some struggles throughout the race. Him and Kyle Martin were battling it out there for a while for 4th. And it seemed like every time somebody outdueled the other, they would wreck and have to come down pit road. So an impressive drive by that 19 car of John Higgins Jr. to be able to complete this race in the top 5, taking home a solid 4th place finish.
Yeah, he's got to be really happy with those points today. That takes a lot of mental resolve to come back from those kind of incidents earlier in the race and still drive clean and quick around the track, and he's going to take home a very comfortable P4 here, it looks like.
Larry Garnes in the 20 Chevrolet, iRacing rookie, doing a phenomenal job here at Road America. It seemed like every time we caught up with Larry Garnes, he was going off track, but doing an excellent job of saving his car. He's going to be bringing home a solid P5 behind him. Kyle Martin in the 99 car, maybe a little frustrated with himself. He's going to be doing donuts in the grass for a P6. This was a long race for these drivers, a little bit over an hour long, as we've been live for 2 hours and 10 minutes here on Faded TV. Fred Houle taking home a solid P7 in the 59 car. Brian Ludlow up 6 spots since his qualifying time. He's going to be finishing 8th. Charlie Dickey with a top 10 in the 37 car, and Tyrone Yo Jr. in that 10th spot. Rounding it out, Joshua Hetrick, Adam Angerstein, Cameron Harris, Mason Kramer, all struggling here tonight at Road America. Well, a lot of people struggled here at Road America, but these guys finishing multiple laps down.
Yeah, definitely a tough race for some, which was kind of expected coming in. With this kind of race, not everybody's used to this kind of driving, and unfortunately for some of them, it didn't work out for them tonight.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have a sad announcement. Louis Clark had an epileptic episode and hit the back of his head right before this race started. So I'd like to just take a moment now and send our thoughts and prayers with Louis Clark, again, having an epileptic episode and hitting the back of his head. We hope nothing but the best for him right now, as we hope the best case scenario, a little bump on the back there. But Louis, if you're listening right now, our thoughts and prayers are most certainly with you and your girlfriend and your family at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. Louis is a great guy, and our thoughts and prayers are absolutely with him.
Back to some racing action. David Hera in the 15 car. David, we talked to you a little bit before the race, and I had joked around a little bit about how you were the least confident guy that I had ever heard talk about anything in his life. And here you are killing it with not only a podium, but a well-deserved podium, as you were looking really fast out there. Where did you find that speed?
Man, it's well, first of all, my thoughts are with Louis Clark. And honestly, he helped a lot in my speed. David Lafano, Larry Garnes, we got out and practiced this, and seemed to help me out a lot. Glad to get a third place there, and it helped my teammates celebrate. Great job for David Lafano. The blue-gray plastic fabrication Chevrolet was, like I said before, was good. I just have to learn this stuff, and I gained a little today.
Yeah, he gained a lot, actually. I mean, it was very impressive as some of these drivers were all over the place here. You guys that were in the top three finishing on the lead lap were just very, very superb. Ben, I'm sure you got some questions for David.
Yeah, absolutely, David. Great job tonight. Really fantastic racing, really consistent. I have my first question is, how did you knock off 11 seconds from your best practice, your best qualifying lap?
Yeah, I didn't get out and practice much in the practice session. I think I ran one solid lap. But, I mean, it's about staying on the track here. So rather than try to run fast laps, I just tried to back up my corners and make it through the corners.
Yeah, absolutely. You did a really nice job at that, especially getting that EOL penalty early on. You were able to make your way back up through the field. Can you take us through that a little bit?
Yeah, so right there at the beginning, and it was just honestly, it was equipment error, which was my brain that failed. We were going into the turn there, and I reached for my drink and looked up and wasn't slowed down enough and spun the leader. So I gave myself an EOL, went to the back, and never to get back up there to race with Lafano. But we'll take third. That's 4 starts and 4 podiums. That's some good momentum going into next week.
Yeah, it's about as good as he can ask for.
David Hera, thank you for your time. We'll let you get back to the general discourse. I'm sure a lot of us are going to be trying to figure out what's going on with our dear friend there. But congratulations in the race tonight. Third place, taking home a good chunk of points. We'll see you next week.
All right, thank you, guys.
That was third place driver David Hera. Next up, we have Patrick McQuaid finishing second. Now, solid P2 that it was, Patrick, even though you didn't really have the pace to be able to catch David Lafano. It doesn't look like anybody out there would have. You were able to walk away with a second place here, even after a lot of green flag shuffles with pit stops. some drivers getting off track, some accidents happening all over the place. What was it like to navigate through the field here and to be able to take home a very competitive P2?
Yeah, it was just more of just racing the track than your competitors. And I mean, it is what it is at the end of the day. I wish I had the pace that Lafano had, but that dude was consistent. Like I tried to mess with him, couldn't. You know, he was perfect all night.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at your pace though, especially in those later laps in the race there, you were running actually quicker laps than, or at least as quick laps as David Lorfano was, and you were just as consistent. You really did a great job staying on track. And just take us through the track. Where on the track there is the most difficult corner in your opinion to keep it together?
I want to say it's the first left-hander, like the first hard left-hander. I can't remember if that's turn 4 or turn
Yes,
3.
that is turn 4.
Okay, yeah. Turn 4 was the hardest for me, just after the high speed straightaway and then immediately pretty much on the brakes. Yeah, and turn 1 actually too. It's both after the long straightaways was the toughest for me. And Lafano was probably backing off. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, and I was just pushing way harder. And a few of my accidents was just me pushing too hard.
Yeah, but overall, it's going to work out just fine for you as you're going to take home that P2 with a really fantastic race tonight. Great job, Patrick McQuaid. Anything else from you, Faded?
No, nothing for me, Patrick. Congratulations on the P2. You're fast in this league, whether it's an oval and apparently a road course track. Definitely not somebody who I had expected to be up there. So just a really great job by you, and it was really fun to watch that 77 car up there in the front all night long.
I appreciate it, guys.
That was P2 driver of the night, Patrick McQuaid. A little bit update before we bring in the winner, David Lorfano. I'm looking in the Discord right now. Louis' girlfriend reaching out to the Discord, letting everybody know that he is okay and he is in rest mode right now. So it could have been a lot worse. Good to hear. And thank you to Louis' girlfriend for bringing that into the Discord and letting everybody know that he is okay. So rest up, Louis. We got a lot of work to do moving forward, my man, and we need you to be a part of that. So rest up. Good to hear everything's okay.
Yeah, it's great to hear. We really appreciate that update.
Next up, though, race winner and new full-time road course racer. He's dropping the ovals after tonight. David Lorfano. David, you got a copy?
Hey, I got you, Faded. You got me?
Yes, sir. So let's dive into this a little bit. Obviously, you had the fastest time in practice. You had the fastest time in qualifying. Your teammate grabs a drink of his beer or whatnot, gets into the back end of you. Certainly not how you want to start. You guys extend the start of this race, which was a very good call. And you just never looked back. I mean, not only did you not ever not lead a lap, you won the race by 17 seconds, which I'm assuming probably could have been more if it wasn't for that pit stop with 5 to go. Talk to us a little bit about tonight, just how much practice you were able to put in here to Road America. I know Louis Clark has been helping you guys, but it had looked like you were just in a whole different zone.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, we're going to talk about what happened on the pace lap back in the garage. I know that, but no, it was great. I mean, I feel, first of all, I gotta say I hope Louis is all right. I heard he had an issue, some medical issue before the race. He probably would have come out here and stunk up the show, but I hope all is well there. But yeah, it was great tonight. I put a lot of time in the last couple of weeks here. Louis has given some advice that has panned out and worked, for these cars on the road course. A lot of guys don't seem to like them. I just made it work. They're not the greatest, but some tips here and there. Louis helped us out a ton, so I can't thank him enough. To lead wire to wire was great. I'm looking forward to getting away from these things, to be honest, but I'll take it. I wasn't expecting to be up front, tonight like that and win the race. So I'll take it, and this win's definitely for Louis. I hope all is well.
Absolutely, and I'm sure Louis appreciates that a lot. This has been up in the booth, by the way. I just had a quick question for you. So we were talking a little bit earlier. We saw, you did do a 2:12 in the qualifying, and you ran your fastest lap was a 2:13. I did notice as the race went on, your pace dropped off a little. Were you just confident in your gap to the point where you just felt like taking it back a little bit, making sure you were running clean laps as much as possible? What was going on there?
Oh, absolutely. I kept a close eye on that relative to see where Patrick was at all times. I know Patrick is a hard nosed racer. He's always at the front. He was a threat for me tonight. So I just made sure, to keep that gap the best I could, especially after that last pit stop. With that 15, 16 second lead, I knew there was no point to push it at that point, and just I focused all night on just not making that mistake. I knew a lot of these guys at some point would push too hard, make a mistake, and it's kind of a death sentence when you run it off into the grass or into the gravel here. You usually end up in the wall, and it's a long tow back to pit road. So I knew just maintain a pace, play it safe, and let others make their mistakes and take it from there. So it all worked out. But yeah, I kept a close eye on Patrick all night with that relative, just trying to keep that a good pace to keep the same distance on him and not let him, run me down too quick.
Well, a fine job indeed. We did take a lap around in your in the cockpit view on your Lucky Dog Detail and number 8 car, and you had not made a mistake from our angle. It looked like every time we did check in on you, you weren't making any mistakes. I mean, that is what you call a flawless race from start to finish, at least from a spectator standpoint. Good job here tonight, David Lurfano, driving out of here with a ton of points. We'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Awesome. Thank you, Faded. And thank you to Lucky Dog Detailing and Top Sales Trucking for sponsoring the series. And we'll go get them next week as the All-Star race. So no points on the line, a little bit of money, and we'll go have some fun.
All righty, buddy. That was race winner David Lurfano. Ben, before we end this broadcast, this was one of the really entertaining road courses that I've been able to call. My Monday night league that I have, they had a phenomenal race at Watkins Glen at the beginning of this year, or the beginning of their season. And we're starting to see some of these other leagues adapt to these road courses, and there are some drivers out here that are just absolutely shining.
Yeah, it just goes to show you that that these guys that are really good with these cars, that are really comfortable in these cars, even if they're not extremely used to the road courses, they're able to get the car around the track quickly and safely. We really see it from David Lurfano, just amazing consistency tonight. We see it from Patrick McQuaid and David Hara, all these guys who are consistent oval drivers come out here on the road. And I think more leagues should do this. I think it not only is it a bit of a different sort of challenge, but I think it also familiarizes the drivers with a little bit more with the cars. Even when they continue oval racing next time, they might be a little bit quicker just because they have a little bit more control. Maybe next time they spin out a little bit, they're able to save the car.